Welcome back to the Balanced Diet of Entertainment, the Good Morning Niger show. And just before we go on the break, we've been mentioned, say we get a very, very casual guest in the house. Now, with this particular political season where we see different politicians, they cross carpet from one party to another, as I've been mentioned earlier, it be like saying a football transfer. Players, they move from one club to another, and sometimes even moving back to the previous club, and they're moving again to another club. And that's how they see the wave of politics. Now, this one don't beg so many questions. What's happening in Nigerian political scene? The movement of the political players now, so to speak. Now, this one says that it's going in the best interest of the people, whether they represent or of their own selves. Now, to follow us discuss this particular matter about, the wave of defections and the way forward in Nigerian politics, we get a very, very casual guest in the house, in a veteran journalist and also a politician in the building. Make una join us to welcome Prince Bayo Oshiemi. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to our show, sir.
So, make we look this deflecting or cross-carpeting season where we did for inside the country at this point in time, and with the turnout of how Ekiti election be shele and a lot of prediction they come out concerning the 2019 election. You feel say this is not the proper time for our leaders to be moving from one political party to the other, expecting change in any political party that they enter?
You said this is a political season, and in a political season, a lot of activities should happen. Just like in a football season, a lot of transfers do take place. So there is nothing abnormal in people moving from one party to the other. The question to ask is this movement that you call defection for altruistic reasons or for selfish reasons?
Okay. All right, sir. Now, the question we I would like to ask now about movement of political players, as I like to call them, from one party to another is, where does allegiance now lie? Where do we now talk about allegiance? Because usually when you see a politician inside one party, I pledge allegiance to so-so party, I believe in the ideologies and the principles of this party, and then when things don't favor them, they move to another party. And then they now pledge allegiance to that particular party again. So where we will come put the term allegiance of a politician as regards the party we're in?
Allegiance starts and ends where there's a conflict of interest. That's why perhaps they say there are no permanent enemies or even friends in politics, but permanent interests.
Very true. Very, very true. Now, also, I would like to bring your attention to the APC, first of all. Now, we don't see situations where certain members of the APC, initially when they come, somebody like the Benue State Governor, Samuel Otom. Just about a year or less than 2 years, we've been seeing the party chairman, the present party chairman, Adams Oshomole, him being praised Samuel Otom. This is somebody that we need, he's doing very well in the party, and so forth and so on. And then when the governor been talking, say he won't move, go another party. This same Adams Oshomole been come out, castigate them, say if they are bad eggs in the party will do better without them. Now, how we go take care? How do we juxtapose these two statements when you don't make? Just within about a year, you praise somebody one time because the person is strongly in your party, and then when the person tells you he won't go, the person don't turn to bad egg, and then they say they brought out allegations, say mismanagement of certain funds where the federal government may give out to the tune of 20 billion naira. Does this not say that once you are not in good terms with the party no go stay by your back, but once you day in their terms, you are doing what they want, then the party say we are for you?
There are different ways of looking at this issue. A good person can transform to be a bad person, just as a bad person can transform to become a good person. And it has its roots in the Bible. There used to be a Saul that represented the worst in any human being. He had the transformation to become one of the best human beings to be created. And he became one of the greatest apostles of God. If you look at him from that perspective, you'll be wondering, how was it possible to move from being bad to being good? In this country, for example, if we're talking of a Saul or Paul in a faraway land, in this country, we had the confessed armed robber, who is now a minister of God. Now, if you zero it in to the realm of politics, if a bad person gets into a good company, the goodness of that company can affect him to move away from being bad. If a good person goes into a bad company, he has a way of being affected. I think that is what is actually playing out. So I don't really think it's a question of, oh, if you are with me in this party, you're a good person. If you move elsewhere, you're a bad person. No. In sports, because these days, we talk of football season, political season, of transfers and all of that. When Ronaldo was playing in the backwoods of his country, he was an unknown quantity. When he moved to Manchester United, he became a world star. The movement to a new environment, football environment, affected his performance. Immediately, a footballer moves from one bad company to another company that is good. You forget about his being bad in the old place. You now talk of him as the man of the moment. It's about the same thing with politics. When you talk of people moving from one party to the other, two things are involved. You'll be talking of ideology. You'll also be talking about self-interest. And I think self-interest is the first law in creation. True. So all of this must be taken together.
Together in consideration. Now, I want to even move on to this not too young to rule bill, because a lot of people, they come outside, they clamor for them. And since the bill come outside, we see a lot of youths where they try in their own small way to make sure, say, them too, people notice them, and they know, say, and people notice, say, they're actually politically relevant in the society. You feel, say, at this point in time, with the new age where they don't come outside, bring on top this voting and presidential seats and gubernatorial seats, you feel, say, the youths at this point in time are actually ready come 2019 to take over power?
Well, it's a question I may not be able to answer appropriately. I've moved away from the realm of being a youth and becoming an old person now. But I think the law needs to be commended, because it's just giving legal text to what had been happening. I want to use myself as a classic example. When I was appointed as Chief Press Secretary to the first civilian governor of this state, I was 29. And I don't think that record has been broken, either in this state or anywhere in the country. I don't think any other 29-year-old person has been given such a key appointment.
I feel like break the record, but I'm way beyond 29, so my own time has passed.
Now, if there was no law, and some people, I think Jakonde was 50 then, thought in their own wisdom that just as you have the best among the elderly ones, you still find the best among the young ones. If it can be implemented in a holistic manner, I think the country stands to gain a lot from it. But if the truth must be told, are the youths that we have, are many of them ready for the service public office is asking them to offer. That question is debatable to the extent that one can say many of them are not serious. Some of them are focused and serious. But whatever it is, let's give them the chance to do it. But it's not something that be served a la carte. They must work for it. And it's not going to be a new thing. When people like Shivaolo ruled or reigned over the defunct Western region, which boundary started from the road that passes in front of Yaba College of Tech to Mushi, up to the Asaba end of the Niger Bridge. He was in his late 30s and early 40s. So there is no big deal if a 40, 50-year-old, 30, 40-year-old man emerges as the president of this country. But it needs a lot of hard work, needs a lot of commitment, a lot of dedication to duty, to the exclusion of any frivolity.
But now you see, with waiting you don't talk now, some people will come outside, they talk about this same bill, this same Not Too Young to Rule bill, because if you look at the military is allowed to recruit people as young as 18 years of age into the military. And that means, and if you look, one of the greatest things anybody can do for any nation is to die for any nation. If at 18 years you're allowed to die for a nation, then why can't at that same age be put for any other political position, not necessarily the presidential position, but any other political position in the country? Because the army is allowed legally to recruit 18 years old to go and die for the country, but we do not have that age in any of the positions where we get from, even all the way to local government level as high up as presidential, but people are not even asking for presidential. They're asking for the age also. Maybe then do something about them. What do you think on top of that review?
It's possible. Bringing in the military, it shows that not everything about military is evil. In fact, in well-ordered societies like Britain and America, it's an advantage for political aspiration to have served in the military. Conversely, at this end, we deride anything military. Now, the inculcation in the 18-year-old that motivates him to be ready to lay down his life for the country is also what he needs to motivate himself to offer quality service to his fatherland. If it is deliberately encouraged to tap them young, as in football, there is no reason why a 30-year-old, a 32-year-old cannot be a successful president of a big country as Nigeria. But again, some of these things have to do with what's our background, what's our culture, what's our tradition. A 2-year-old child abroad, in Britain, for example, is taken through the whole gamut of life from that early stage. They are trained to conquer fear. In our climb here, we instill fear in the upbringing of our children. Don't move near that dog. Don't move near that. No, that place, no. But if a child is trained to conquer fear and to be given the belief that he's a master over this dog, that's why it's easy to see a young European child putting his hands in the mouth of a dog. In this place, we bring up our children to be afraid of the dog. Some of these things have to do with how our children grow up to become responsible, to become fearless, to become patriotic to their fatherland.
Now, quickly, I would like to draw us a bit back to this defection issue where we've been started with. Now, we know, say, certain parties don't come out and talk, say, integrity, now their watchword. I use, for example, the APC. When they've been started, integrity, now one of the watchwords of the APC say that they want to hold on to. You know, they want to hold on to members who get integrity, members who won't follow the ideologies of the party. And I know you rightly mentioned that, first of all, personal interest is what comes first as a human being. But then if we talk about integrity, can we now say that some of the parties now don't sideline integrity and they are being desperate to hold on to power or to keep numbers? Because you know, say politics is a question of numbers now. And the reason why they talk this, recently we don't see the most trending issue here now. Oga Godswill Akpabio, we go greet Oga Presido for inside London. That's talking about President Muhammad Buhari. Now, Mr. Godswill Akpabio, a person will be say the different allegations they hang on in neck. In 2016, we've been getting 2017, sorry, the EFCC been seized some of his properties. In 2016, the EFCC also been talk say that they investigate Oga Godswill Akpabio. Recently, again, in 2018, this was in August, just recently, they say they still investigate of about 1.4, billion naira bank gifts as they put them there. So are we saying, can we now say that based on the fact, say, this is political season, as we mentioned earlier, now the political parties are somehow sidelining integrity and looking for how to hold on to strong political figures or increase the numbers, as it were?
I don't really agree that the fact that one politician is considered good to move from one party to the other. I don't think that means integrity is being sidelined. In examining a human being, a lot of things do come into play. For example, when I was in government, my boss, Alhaji Jakonde, had this attitude. If you have itchy fingers, that you are quick at putting your hand in the public till, so long as no empirical evidence can be adduced to pin you down to some malfeasance, what he would do is to, and he knows that this guy with fishy fingers is such a workaholic that can work 24 hours in one day. He will move you away from where the temptation to want to put your hand in the public till is high, to where you can go and use your boundless energy to work for the progress of the state. Now, it worked. In the case of Godfrey Akpabio, I'm one of those who believe that if he comes into APC, he will be an asset, because anybody visiting that state will know that in his time, he did his best to transform that sleepy state to a bubbling state that it is now. For example, if you are looking at aesthetics in Astadia, I think the stadium at U is one of the best in the world in terms of design and beauty. If he could think of bringing that down, is attracting attention to that state. So much so now that international football matches, international athletics competitions are now being taken away from the traditional bases in Lagos and Abuja to far away Uyo. Some others who are leaving the APC to other parties, they don't have similar record in their own states. That's the truth of the matter. So to me, if Godswill Akpabio eventually defects to APC, it will be a plus to the party. Why evidently there are some who have left the APC for the PDP, who to me are good riddance to bad rubbish.
Now, if we even look this cross-carpeting and the movement from one political party to the other, because not only APC and PDP people work out go, the other political parties they work out go, people, they come outside, they ask, say, because some of the reasons where a lot of them, they come outside give now, because they know, see, the certain changes where they expect, be they the former political party, and you're moving to another political party. People, they come outside, they talk to you, why you not try create the change where you define? Waiting be the assurance, say you go get that change in the other political party where the cross carpets go. Because now it can't be like, now the same carcass and the same caliber of people, they're just moving from one umbrella to another broomstick, to another portfolio, to another party. What's the assurance, say, the thing where they expect, they will actually see them from there. Knowing, say, some of them were formerly in that party, cross carpet from A to B, back to A again. Why?
Well, if somebody moved with a conservative party to a progressive party and reversed back to the conservative party, it simply exposes one thing, that the person was not imbued with any sense of ideology, but protection of and preservation of privilege is the motivating factor. Once that preservation of privilege can be gotten from this party, the best thing is to revert back to. So it's like such people don't care if they go back to their vomit.
Shouldn't such party actually screen and stop certain people like that, where they go back and forth and back and forth? Because now, like you talk, it's for their own selfish gain.
Well, that depends now on what framework is on in particular parties. There are some parties, and it does happen, some people will say they want to come. People with high sense of morality in the other party will say, let's examine the situation very well. Is this going to be a plus for us or not? Some parties don't care. They just want crowd. Don't forget, democracy, politics, you're talking of number. And democracy is the dictatorship of the majority over the minority. Maybe that is the motivating factor for some parties. The APC that I belong to, we are particular about effecting positive change in the psyche of our people and in the totality of human interaction. And I think, given a situation where things have gotten so bad for too long, it is not easy to get to the El Dorado that people are talking about.
Unfortunately, time not on our side anymore. We have just like 1 minute to go. I would like to quickly ask you to give, we know that youthful participation in politics these days don't decline. So we'd like you to give something, say a word of advice to participation in politics this year, particularly for the youths, and how we can infect and affect change to the forthcoming elections and political dispensation.
Well, I will urge increased interest in political activities. I think it was Edmund Burke that said, what good people suffer by abstaining from politics is to allow fools and charlatans to rule them. Some people, especially the professionals, the doctors, the engineers, the accountants, they are too busy minding their own professions that they think, oh, let's leave politics for the so-called politicians, forgetting that they are refusing to be part of it, to effect possible change for society, will someday affect their own professional businesses, because when you allow fools and charlatans to be in charge, they will be unable to bring up, formulate policies that can help professional businesses to grow. And I am a professional journalist, but I took recourse into participating in politics because I don't want fools and charlatans to rule me. And that is why I see myself as a professional in politics.
Fantastic, lovely interview, lovely time we'll get with you, Prince Bayo Oshiemi. Thank you so much for coming inside the studio. That's all.
To enjoy more of these our Ogbonge videos when you just watch, press this button to subscribe on top of our YouTube page. You go love am.